The Shining, 1980, wasn't just another psychological horror classic. It's a movie that burned its way into the minds of everyone who saw it. But the version you know, the one with the axe, the hedge maze, the gallons of blood, that's the safe, polished version. Behind the camera, something dark was happening, something the studio Warner Brothers worked hard to lock away and bury forever. They had a nightmare on their hands. And the final cut. That's not what they were terrified of. These are 12 creepiest facts about The Shining, and hidden in them is the shocking truth that the entire crew thought the director was cursed. Number 1, the most infamous moment? That's Jack Nicholson's head smashing through the bathroom door, right? Here's Johnny. But behind that iconic scene is a mountain of chaos. The truth is, Stanley Kubrick, the director, shot that scene so many times, we're talking 60 takes, that the prop department ran out of prop doors. Why did they keep shooting? Nicholson had been a volunteer fire marshal, and he was too good at breaking through the cheap movie wood. The crew had to rush out and get thicker, stronger, real doors just to make the shot last longer than a second. Imagine being stuck in that freezing cold hallway, listening to the buzzing lights, while a madman chops through wood for hours. What was Kubrick looking for? A specific kind of panic. And that leads to number 2. Number 2. What most people don't realize about the movie's main star isn't even a person, it's the Overlook Hotel itself. For the interiors, Kubrick built a huge, massive set in the Elstree Studios in London. It was one of the biggest sets ever constructed in England at the time. But on February 2nd, 1979, disaster hit. The entire soundstage burned down in a massive fire. The flames were enormous, and it cost the production $2.5 million in damage. Studio panic was real. They had to rebuild sections from scratch. Some crew members claimed the hotel set was cursed from the start, maybe taking on the bad vibes of the fake Overlook. Was this just a horrible accident, or did the ghosts of the story follow them across the ocean? Because the next part is worse. Number 3. The relationship between the director and his leading lady, Shelley Duvall, who played Wendy Torrance, was rough. That's putting it mildly. The truth is, Kubrick pushed Duvall to her absolute breaking point. He isolated her, he argued with her constantly, and he demanded take after take until she was genuinely, physically exhausted and hysterical. For the intense baseball bat scene where Wendy swings the bat at Jack, Duvall later said they shot it 127 times, a world record for dialogue takes. This wasn't just acting. This was psychological torture. She was constantly sick, her hair started falling out, and she cried so much her eyes were red for weeks. Was he trying to get a performance, or was he trying to break her? And that leads to number 4. Number 4, the film's most famous mechanical prop was the simple red big-wheel tricycle. But there was one shot that almost drove the sound crew insane, and it was nearly scrapped. This is where it gets weird. The scene where Danny rides the big wheel through the echoing, empty hotel hallways. You hear the sharp, loud click-clack when the tires hit the wood, then the muffled silence when they hit the rug. The sound was so difficult to get perfect, that perfect sudden shift in volume and texture, that the crew spent days just focused on audio levels. The silence felt heavy, like stale air. They wanted the sound to feel like a jump scare, all on its own. They had to fight to keep the full sequence. Now watch this. And that leads to number 5. Number 5. The studio Warner Brothers demanded a cut that was closer to 119 minutes for the U.S. release, but the director fought them constantly. They were terrified of the running time. The version Kubrick initially showed in Europe was slightly longer, closer to 146 minutes. And after the premiere weekend, he made an unheard-of decision. He personally ordered his staff to go to theaters and physically cut a 2-minute scene from the end of the film. This lost material showed Wendy and Danny in the hospital and a final creepy chat with Mr. Ullman. What most people don't realize is that some theaters had already played the longer version. So why did he cut it after the movie had already opened? Studio panic about the final note? Maybe. Because the next part is worse. Number 6. Before Jack Nicholson was cast, Kubrick had a very different actor in mind for the role of Jack Torrance. He considered 2 big-name stars who almost took the cursed role. They were Robert De Niro and Harrison Ford. De Niro later admitted he just couldn't get the script. He didn't feel the character. Ford was a solid choice, but maybe too much of a classic hero at the time. Imagine a slick young Han Solo slowly going insane instead of the already wired Nicholson. What if one of those guys had been hired instead? The entire film's tone would have changed completely. It's hard to imagine anyone else bringing that pure, unfiltered intensity to the screen. That's the trick, and that leads to number 7. Number 7. Remember those creepy twin girls? The Grady sisters. The script and the original book are a little different about them. The truth is, in Stephen King's novel, there is only one child, not two. Kubrick doubled them up, knowing that twin imagery adds a deep level of unsettling creepiness, especially in a cold, silent hallway. He wanted the visual symmetry of the two girls to feel like a nightmare. The young actresses, Lisa and Louise Burns, said the set was really cold, and the hallway lights always seemed to flicker when they were near. This small change, turning one victim into two, changed the tone of the movie forever. What was he afraid of with just one girl? Because the next part is worse. Number 8. The famous Sid. Final shot of the movie is a photo from 1921 that shows Jack Torrance smiling in the middle of a 4th of July ball. But behind that eerie photo is a production trick. The photograph itself was not a historical photo. It was actually a brand new photo taken during production. Kubrick put Nicholson in full period costume, had him pose with extras in 1920s outfits, and then they treated the photo, aging it with chemicals and special lighting to make it look like it was almost 60 years old. It was a perfect tiny detail designed to drive you nuts. It had to look authentic. What if the photo had looked fake? And that leads to number 9. Number 9, the red Volkswagen Beetle that Jack drives up to the Overlook Hotel at the start. It vanished at the end. The final cut has Jack walking around in the snow and then running into the maze, but the car is just gone. Why did they cut it? In the original book and an earlier cut of the film, the car explodes in the snow. This was a big prop FX hack that the studio had concerns about. The studio thought the ending was too final, too loud, and it didn't fit the quiet, chilling mood of the maze chase. So the explosion scene, which took days to film, was scrapped. That scene is one piece of never-meant-to-be-seen footage. Now watch this. And that leads to number 10. Number 10, Kubrick was infamous for having incredible control over every aspect of his films, including the marketing tricks. The main poster for the film had a simple, terrifying image. Jack Nicholson staring into the camera, looking insane, with a massive maze of hair surrounding his face. The truth is, the artwork was created by legendary graphic designer Saul Bass, who had to work through dozens of versions with Kubrick. Kubrick rejected almost every one. He was looking for something that screamed horror, but still felt slick and artistic. He made Bass do the final version 11 times before he approved it. That's studio panic about the image. What if they had used a simple photo instead? Because the next part is worse. Number 11. The river of blood scene, where an elevator opens and a massive wave of blood rushes out, is a masterclass in set design and VFX. It took the crew 3 days to shoot that single 5-second shot. The challenge wasn't just the amount of fake blood, it was the consistency and force. They built a specialized elevator shaft that could drop the blood out fast enough to look like a torrent, not just a drip. Crew members claimed the sound of all that liquid hitting the walls and floor was sickening, and the metallic tang of the fake blood hung in the air for a week. They had to use a specific, almost sickly shade of red to make it feel visceral. That's the trick. And that leads to number 12. Number 12, the biggest tension point on set, even bigger than the cast conflict, was the relentless schedule. The movie was initially budgeted for a quick shoot, but ended up filming for over a year, starting in May 1978 and finishing in April 1979. This long, cold shoot drove everyone crazy, and it pushed the final budget way past its planned $99 million. Crew members worked in cold, dark sets for months, feeling the isolation of the Overlook Hotel. They were trapped inside the production bubble. The pressure, the length of the shoot, and the strange demands of the director made everyone feel like they were going insane right along with the characters. That's the scary part. The Shining became a legend not because it was an easy movie to make. It became a legend because it was almost impossible. It was a production cursed by fire, driven mad by a director's endless quest for a single perfect moment. and saved only by the fact that the actors gave every piece of their sanity to the screen. The trauma on set is what makes the movie feel so real and so terrifying. You can feel the sweat, the stale air, and the sheer desperation in every frame. That's the shocking truth. The behind-the-scenes chaos bled into the movie and made it one of the greatest horror films ever made. Thanks for watching. Hit like, drop a comment with your favorite fact, and subscribe for more creepy movie secrets.